A number of Garmin watches have or have recently been updated with a jet lag advisor. It works like a coach that tells you when to eat, avoid light, and help you get over jet lag faster and smoother. And I've been using every single one of its recommendations across 50 time zones and multiple flights over the past few months. And here's what I've learned. Hi everybody, foXnoMad here, and today I want to help you travel smarter with a look at Garmin's jet lag advisor and show you whether or not it can actually help you get over jet lag a little bit faster. It's a feature I've been interested in testing since I travel about 200 days a year, and so anything that can help me reduce or sort of shorten the time that I have jet lag is going to be very welcome. I wear a Garmin watch to track my workouts and runs, so when the Forerunner series got the jet lag advisor feature via a software update, I was eager to try it on multiple flights around the world. The jet lag advisor is available on a number of Garmin watches, including some of the Fenix, Venue, and Forerunner series. You can check this page Garmin has set up to see if your watch supports it, which I'll link to under the subscribe button. If your watch does support jet lag advisor and you have a trip coming up, here's how you can use it. You start by going into the Garmin Connect app on your phone. Find Training and Planning, and then Jet Lag Advisor. Once there, you can enter in any number of flights you have coming up. Note that if you're taking a long flight that doesn't cross any time zones, Jet Lag Advisor won't be useful and it will let you know that, although you can still enter in your trip details anyway. For flights that do cross time zones though, you enter in your departure and destination cities, but you don't enter in any layovers. The Jet Lag Advisor tells you to ignore those. For very long layovers of 8 hours or more, or overnight layovers, I would recommend that you enter in your flights as separate trips. So the first leg and then the second leg, because you're going to be at your destination or you're going to be on that layover long enough to where jet lag is going to start hitting you. So just enter them in as separate trips. For shorter layovers, just put in your destination and your departure and your regular flight times, and then let Jet Lag Advisor do its thing. Once your details are in Garmin Connect, it will sync with your watch and you can see your next upcoming trip in the Jet Lag Advisor glance. A few days out, it will show you the time difference and the amount of jet lag that you're probably going to be facing. Garmin bases this analysis and its recommendations on a few factors, but notes going west is easier on your body clock, so acclimatizing often takes less time than flying east. A few days before your trip, your watch will begin giving you prompts to prepare and slowly start adjusting your body clock to reduce jet lag as much as possible. You can go into the system alert settings on your watch and modify these or turn them off altogether. The options for notifications are light, sleep, activity, naps, caffeine, melatonin, and nutrition. What those do is a few days before your trip, you'll get prompts recommending that you seek light or avoid light, for example, or maybe now is the time to have that extra shot of espresso. Jet Lag Advisor may also recommend shifting your exercise schedule and caffeine consumption times as your trip nears. I followed all of the recommendations that the Garmin Jet Lag Advisor gave me, but you don't really get any notifications before 48 hours prior to your trip. That depending on your work schedule and the things you have leading up to your flight, it might be difficult to take those recommendations like avoiding light in the middle of the day, but it is a good reminder, those recommendations are a good reminder that you're going to be facing jet lag and to not get your body clock too far out of sync from your regular schedule at home, and then to start thinking about how you might want to start shifting your schedule just a little bit prior to your flight. When you're actually traveling, you'll still get the prompts, but even more. A neat feature is a timeline on both your watch and in the Garmin Connect app that shows good times to eat or take a nap, and at the beginning of each of these windows, you'll get a notification on your watch. It's fun having those reminders and recommendations, and they are just that, because when you're traveling, it is really difficult to follow the advice, especially when you're, trying to avoid light, when you're waiting at an airport gate for your next flight. All those recommendations can be really difficult to practically implement, and I've noticed that when I was flying, I was like, okay, it's telling me I should, avoid light right now, but I've got a flight in an hour and I'm in this bright airport. So it's a reminder of what you should do. Maybe when you get onto the plane, maybe then you want to use some kind of, mask, which is what I would do to follow the recommendations of the watch. But you can't really follow it, to the minute. You've got to sort of think of those windows as recommendations of, a period of time where you want to avoid light or take a nap or get caffeine and all of those things. But it's really, really difficult, especially when you're traveling and in transit, to follow every recommendation exactly to the letter. So the Garmin Jet Lag Advisor is more like a sleep coach to help you get over jet lag. It's like your jet lag coach that you have on your watch, just like it will give you recommendations on, how much to run and exert yourself. It's doing the same thing for jet lag. But where it really comes in handy and where it really helps, I've found, is after you arrive at your destination. Once you're at your destination, the jet lag advisor helps you see and reminds you of when you should sleep or not. It's that common traveler dilemma when you get somewhere new and are tired, but don't know if you should sleep or when, or if you just get there and pass out in your hotel bed right away and then you're completely off schedule. Well, the jet lag advisor tells you when you can have a nap, have caffeine, or maybe get some light to help your circadian rhythms adjust to the new time zone. I use the jet lag advisor most after I've arrived somewhere and will try to follow it more closely than during transit or before my trip. It's useful to help me avoid naps or force myself to get outside or keep the lights on bright based on the watch's recommendations, and I have found that they do help reduce the amount of time that you feel jet lagged. Like I said, it's not always easy to follow those recommendations practically depending on your circumstances, but where you can follow them, it certainly does help. You'll still feel jet lag, of course, but the jet lag advisor is like a coach, like I keep saying, that will remind you that you have to sort of shift your schedule to the new time zone. And the faster you do that, the better it is going to be for you. It's going to be faster to help you get over jet lag, which is all great. But it is one of the failings of the jet lag advisor is that it lets you off the hook a little bit too soon. The jet lag advisor, I found, stops giving you post-arrival advice about 72 hours after your arrival. Until then, it will show you what the local time feels like for you and your body clock and how acclimated you are, but then 3 days later it says you're done, which is very, very optimistic if you've crossed 8 time zones. The general rule of thumb says that it takes about a day of adjustment for every time zone that you cross. That depends on a lot of factors like age, but 3 days of recovery after flying from Istanbul to Hanoi was way too optimistic for one of my trips. And there's this thing that happens when you get to a new destination a lot of times where you don't really notice the jet lag because you're super tired. Maybe you show up, you take a quick nap, and then you've got an early morning tour you got to get to. There's this awesome dinner place that you wanted to check out or this bar that you wanted to get to. There's a lot of excitement and a lot of tiredness, and combined with all of those things, it can keep you distracted from jet lag, all to say that 3 days later, you might really start feeling the effects because you haven't started adjusting your clock. So if you're not careful or adjusting your body clock during those first few days, it can really hit you hard on the 4th day, and then it takes like a week to really feel like yourself again. All of this is to say that I wish the jet lag advisor were active for a few more days after you got to a destination, like maybe up to a week, or depending on how many time zones you're crossing, to give you a more accurate representation of how quickly or quickly you're not acclimatizing. The jet lag advisor is a good guide, but it's not going to cure your jet lag altogether. You're still going to feel that jet lag, especially if you go out for a few beers on that first night. I personally don't follow the advice as closely as I did before when I was testing the feature, but I find that the first 72 hours, it does help to have those recommendations and those reminders for, maybe this is a good time to avoid light or not, or if you're confused as to, maybe you've gone 8 time zones or 10 time zones and your body clock and your mental clock is really thrown off, you can just check your watch, check the timeline, and then quickly get an idea of when or when not maybe you should be active, go for a workout, or to seek light, or maybe to, close the curtains and take a nap. And I would like to see the jet lag advisor take more into account the metrics that it's taking from your body already, so like your heart rate or your activity level. And if you do go out for those beers on that first night and really throw off your body schedule, the jet lag advisor would be great if you could take that into account. Even if you do decide to ignore the jet lag advisor's recommendations, it's a fun tool that you can use on your next trip, and also a good reminder that getting over jet lag does take a little bit of work on your part. Now, as somebody who's traveled to over 100 countries and I'm trying to visit every country, travel is a big part of my life, and I've developed a couple of jet lag tips, things that work really well for me. So if you'd like to see those in a separate video, feel free to let me know down in the comments below. And while you're down there, hit the like and subscribe buttons. I'll have new videos for you every week. I hope this video gives you a good idea of how the jet lag advisor works and how you can use it maybe on your next trip. But if you have any thoughts on whether or not this is actually useful for you, or if you've tried it, let me know. I'm looking forward to seeing your comments, and I'll see you in the next video.